Welcome back to Bronze League Heroes. In the top left, as you expect to see, a Terran. In the red, it is Solo. Why did I speak like text-to-speech? In the top right, in red, Solo. Terran. Yay! And in the bottom right, it is in the blue, Bob the Slayer. The Slayer. I'm taking away from the drama of the name. Bob the Slayer. Bob. But he has a title. All right. Which he's earned, I'm sure, over many battles. And many moons of drama and cannon rushes. He's even made it here. A Protoss against Terran, not a Terran. Not even a mere matchup. Somewhat rare. But welcome. Thank you to FFT Private for judging this one worthy, and also for shouldering the blame if it's mediocre. But we will see. So far, looking like relatively... I mean, Bob over here is walling off the Reaper's pesky creatures. Even if Clem isn't behind them, they can be one of the most annoying things in the game. Remember, Bronze League Heroes is not about being in the Bronze League, which is almost an achievement in and of itself. You got to put so much effort in. It's such a small percentage nowadays. But it's about embracing the spirit of Bronze League Heroes. It's about understanding what it is. Well, or maybe not understanding what it is. We've had WCS finalists. What Bronze League Heroes, but you has to see it to believe it. It is actually true though. Back in Wings of Liberty, when I heard rumors that Bronze League Heroes existed. I started in the Silver League, but close enough. It was about 20% of the population of Starcraft was in that coveted league. But nowadays it's only about 4 or 5%. Who make it to those treacherous waters. Almost equal with the percentage of players in Masters. That's how exclusive it is. So we like to be more inclusive here and include the metal leagues throughout. Anyway, speaking of metal, cold, hard steel, or whatever they make this shit out of. Solo. A bunker on the low ground. A Marine. Firing. And a SCV completing his duty, and now he may die. The Reaper sneaking in. Bob tried so hard to wall off the Reaper. Unfortunately, not quite. Missed the mark a bit. Oh. Solo. That's... Reaper works alone. Meanwhile, the pylon finally dies. The Reaper tried to escape. You're using the Nexus. Are we sure it's not Clem? Hops into the bunker. Ugh. I think this is more of a Rogue One right now. Special operative gets behind through the not-so-wall. It looks like Bob not willing to give up on that idea quite yet, just going to reinforce it somewhat. Slap down a couple more pylons. Some pretty intense bunker micro from Solo as he decides maybe this isn't how the game's going to end. And slaps on not one, but 2 command centers behind. I'm pretty much mauled over here. 2 factories as well. The Reaper slips through the now much more substantial wall into the main and out the way he came in. So, mostly I assume because he can. So Bob seemed to be quite frustrated by that idea. He is committing as many stalkers to the Reaper jump. So, a bit of an awkward start, to say the least. As the bunker just kind of hanging out here. The Marines and Reaper pop out, trying to out-micro the Stalkers, which was a bit optimistic. The Marines turn their backs and body block the Reaper from getting out, or getting into the bunker in time, which is pretty hardcore. But that Reaper always thought it was better than them, right? Like, that Reapers always think so. You're just Marines. You don't even have upgrades. Well, whose fault is that? It's not ours. It's Solo's fault. Okay? He's the one going, like, for some sort of bio-curious build over here. Actually, no, it's just mech-ish. It's like how Del Taco is tacos-ish. This is McDonald's-ish here. We have we have multiple factories. He's building essentially one of everything for this particular buffet. There's liberators. There's an armory. Building another bunker because, I mean, the first one went pretty well, so why not? And a liberator is going to siege up in Bob's main. Quick reaction. Warps in the stalkers. And suddenly, well, Solo forced to drop back out, but a tank, a Widowmine, a Cyclone, gonna be more than enough to shut down a counterpush. Bob looking like... Oh, well, Bob has 35 probes up against 25 SCVs. This command center almost perfectly in the right spot to mine efficiently. But despite that, Solo, only one orbital command, now gonna fill in a starport, an engineering bay, 2 tech labs, and a partridge and a pear tree. That's coming up next, I think. Takes an engineering bay. Meanwhile, the Liberator finds a completely new mineral. The World Tour here. Wait, no, this is a second Liberator. Never mind. This time, Bob a little slower on the draw. Solo staring at that Liberator. Make sure to get out as soon as the probes are pulled. Knows the stalkers will not be far behind. More pylons. Several pylons. Planetaries. A planetary at the quite forward third. The TPM begins to raise. You can never, like, while he hasn't seen a Stargate, while he hasn't scanned any air units, you can never be too careful, okay? At some point in many games, did you know Blizzard buffed the Void Ray? Essentially, Blizzard buffed the Void Ray and then said, peace, we're out of here. So, like, it's called Legacy of the Void. You can never be too careful because it's a treacherous path. It's a dangerous road. But it is one we must walk because that road, of course, as we know at the end, leads to battlecruisers. Fusion core is on the way. Ravens to usher them in. 2 starports ready. The Liberator trying to siege up that very unhappy patch of land as the Stalkers will spew angry words towards it. Solo maintaining a foothold, a toenail hold, if you would, on Bob's natural. Never letting him forget. Also, a slight bonus is that not being used by the Selectal Army Hockey. I doubt that's exactly the purpose of it, but that means the Selectal Army Hockey won't drag it back home when it should be harassing defenseless probes. Widow mines, planetary, repair, another Widow mine shot. There's no more defense. Even a probe getting in on the action. A probe. Micro's away at the last second. He's going for the SCVs, kind of. A surprising amount of planetary micro. Really, any amount of planetary micro. Auto turrets. Here comes the Liberator re-sieges. The Stalker's in a rough spot. It's more than enough, though. Bob lost how many probes? He's now lost 19 to the aggression of Solo. Oh, those Widow mines, they have recharged. Oh, you gotta be careful. There's a Cyclone. Cyclone took a lot of hits. Not sure where. It's still here, though. So good for him. While the third base has been cleared of less than perfectly efficient command centers, the Natural, on the other hand, has a bit more of a fortified defense. He's got turrets. He's got a Raven. He's got a Liberator. He's got tanks. He's got a bunker. He's got depots. Like, it's an overlapping layer of defense. Now, is it perfect? Well, you know what? Like, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Nothing matters. What really matters at the end of the day is where your battlecruiser is and how much damage it's gonna do. He decides he's tired of just flying across like a plebeian, or however you noblemen say it. But instead, he will jump the rest of the way, though that might have been a little bit quick on the gun there. Meanwhile, the Stalkers, while the battlecruiser is dealt with, both players will sign a non-aggression treaty in the natural of solo, as the battlecruiser is currently what we are deciding. Oh, and our widow mines! Where did the widow mines come from? Blink, not done. Battlecruiser escapes, widow mines, reburrow. And now the pact has expired, and we will go back to the other natural and finish our discussion here. Bob, does he recall? Recall. The tanks are slowly closing in. Though, somehow they don't quite reach. If there was vision, they would see the Immortals. Oh, he sees them! The tanks will draw them in. The Immortals obliterated. They'll try to escape. Or maybe not. Well, they'll get a tank. They get two. Immortals are really good. I gotta... Some people might call them Dragoons with a fancy turret on top. I call them that also, but give them some respect as well. The Cyclone! He's microing it, but the probes are pulled! Citizens arrest! Get him out of here! The battlecruiser at a precarious amount of HP comes in for the probes. The probes, he's lost 36 of them. You're gonna wanna... He jumps away. He jumps home to relative safety. And somehow Solo has a worker and a supply lead. He's poked and prodded. He's been giving them wet willies and putting, I don't know, mashed potatoes in his boots. But like... Very, very cold mashed potatoes, so they all squish around. Essentially just cold water, but also potatoes, so it's confusing. Like, he's doing a lot of things, and they're a little confusing, but they are effective. And here we are, 40 probes dead, and counting. He's down. Bob is down to 30. This warp prism, not quite taking the ideal trajectory to not die horribly, will be taken out. By whatever units are kind of just hanging out around. Some more turrets, the overlapping layers of defense. Once again coming together, being brought online. And... well, it seems we've reached a point of relatively passive play. As both these players have... well, they're still Widowmines, but... both these players have exacted a heavy toll on the other. One somewhat heavier. A surprisingly small amount of gas, only 1,100 to 1,975. Bob has lost 4,000 more minerals, which is a little rough. But... we're just settling in. As it does seem Solo is a little more micro-oriented, whereas Bob has tried to... oh, you gotta be careful with those void rays, but he does have the range. Bob has tried to maintain, like he's got stalkers and void rays. They shoot up, they shoot down. What's not to love? So... Solo, on the other hand, has almost entirely transitioned Sky Terran. A scan. We'll see that the way is clear. Unfortunately, not quite seeing the Valiant Zealot, or the other Zealot, as the sensor towers. Wow. Absolutely bamboozled. That Zealot gets its wires crossed into a planetary as some very forward sensor towers are queued up by Solo. Another Zealot. Scouted. Uncovered. As of all the things, Well, never mind. It appears that a single hotkey has called all the units to action. Even now as the rare but somewhat welcome Hellbat has entered the production tab. And both sides have heard the call, as they will be drawn to the middle of the map. Surprisingly close to one another, the Zealot on the way back. 2 ships passing, well, more than 2 ships passing in the night. Suddenly, the battlecruisers have arrived. Cyclones. A lot of army here for Bob, but +1 mech weapons is the only upgrade between both players. So, the charged up Void Rays targeting the battlecruisers, well, his controller doesn't have perfect accuracy, but the battlecruisers taking out Blink Stalkers, working their way around the high ground. Solo forced back, actually losing... Bob losing a lot of probes. Bob has not had a good time. His probes are just straight up not having a good time this game. The production tab, not important. Well, now it is. Because finally we've upgraded to, like, the big capital ships against Protoss. Protoss are known. Like, Void Rays, carriers, they're known for those air units. But big-ass move over Immortals actually don't. Immortals are very bad for Thors. Immortals kill Thors, despite their relatively small size. It's almost like the Thors are compensating for something, but whatever. They're compensating for not being 3 Goliaths in a trench coat. 3 Goliaths would be better. I'd rather have Goliaths, but it's a little late for that. But, the Vikings, a raiding party. Looking for the natural. The probes once again here to pillage. The probe with their extra damage to mechanical. A recall of exactly not nearly enough stalkers. He didn't quite find the mark on that one. Bob has now lost 63 probes. He's never quite been able to make it to that 50 mark that I know of. Solo's starting to really secure his position. He's building Thors. Unfortunately, they are stuck in his base currently, because between a siege tank and a tech lab, they're having a tough time escaping. Maybe they're compensating for something. Maybe they should have been 3 Goliaths in the first place. Who would have thought? But here we are. You might be like, couldn't they go out the other door? If you've ever played Counter-Strike, you know there is no such thing as flanking, okay? That is the Suka Natural. The Thor traffic jam may be the only thing, keeping Bob in this match right now. If those Thors were on the field, on the front lines, you know, that's a lot of Stalkers. Stalkers aren't terrible against Thors. They got that extra damage against armored. There's now 2 battlecruisers, 2 starports, and 2 warp prisms in the production tab, which is not something I thought I'd say today, but it wasn't last on the list. Last on the list was probably, those stalkers aren't bad, multiple times. As he tries to out-micro a planetary. The planetary, unfortunately... Oh, looks like the traffic jam was solved. No, I have to know. I have to know. We have to... Jimmy, rewind. Rewind the tape. Okay. I thought he may have killed the siege tank in a fit of road rage. But no, the siege tank did escape from the main. Important to note. Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. We do have instant replay access now. Technology we've just implemented in Season 2 of Bronze League Heroes. So I'm happy to see all the fans complain about how it ruins the game. Like and subscribe. Dislike and subscribe. There you go. Hate watch. Probably even better for the algorithm, to be honest. Like, you guys keep liking my videos too much. It's a real problem. There's no controversy. Stalkers warped in. Battlecruiser saunters out with surprisingly much time. There's a surprising amount of airspace. Well, technically we're underwater, I think. It's called submarine, but the probes are just really struggling. Like, 67 probes. Bob is just now barely getting close. Unfortunately, another battlecruiser. This one had a tough time. The armies, the double prism. When one prism just isn't enough. Supersize me, prisms. Those depots, definitely the order of the day. The tank count is 2 to... Oh my, oh wow. Whoa, oh, that's a lot of tanks. A scan? Yes, those are 2 prisms. Thank you for asking. He blocks in! Oh, on top of the tanks, curving his shots over the top. Devastating damage. The Thor is getting up close and personal. Getting into melee range. He blinks out at a questionable time. It wasn't good for Bob, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. A very confident move. Maybe too confident. Oh my god, he blocks it again. He misses the mark on targeting the tanks. They keep getting hits. Oh my. Oh, he wants the tanks. Oh, he wants the tanks. Oh, tanks have hurt him before. I mean, yeah. A battlecruiser jumps in. Oh no. Unfortunately, the Terrans have the best blink in the game. Protoss have 3 different blinks. 4, actually. They've got recall, they've got mothership recall, they've got stalker blink, they've got DT blink. I guess you could count warp prisms as kind of a blink. But can they blink with no energy and a shorter cooldown across the entire map? No. No, they cannot. So, of course, this is why Terrans are just straight up better, and Protoss should be buffed. What if Stalkers could blink in infinite range, except they had no vision for 30 seconds after they blink? Adepts are kind of a... Now that I think about it, Adepts are kind of a blink as well. In fact, like, they're a longer range blink than anything but the recalls. It's actually kind of... It's like 2 screens. Yeah, Void Rays don't have blink, which seems like an oversight to me. Blinks into the planetary, but there's another planetary! But have we had second planetary? Unfortunately, the second planetary does look like it's going to be the deciding one. 1 battlecruiser caught and killed. The real story will be if Bob ever gets over 50 probes. He's lost 77. It's been a continuing slow-motion disaster, economically. A scan. Nope. No, don't do it, Bob. Don't you do it! He blinks away. He's lost 85 stalkers. Whereas, somehow Solo has broken out the entire buffet of Terran. He has managed to not lose more than 10 of any unit besides SCVs. 2 Widowmines, 4 Hellbats, 3 Vikings, a Reaper, 3 Cyclones, 2 Liberators, 7 Siege Tanks, 3 Marines, 4 Battlecruisers, and 2 Ravens. Like, he's really spreading out the pain here. The double prism moving in as Solo drops all of the mules. Unfortunately, it does seem like the battlecruisers are angling to intercept. They do not have Yamato cannon, but they do have a right click, and that's what's important in making sure the prisms survive, because that's the only way. He had to go back home to start Yamato cannon, which unfortunately means the prisms will escape. A significant oversight in his strategy. Bob has made it. He's made it to 55 probes. Solo with 56 SCVs, but remember, mules, much to the dismay of Protoss and Zerg, and to the delight of Terrans, mules exist. More factories on the way. The starports, adding on, like, he's gonna have plenty of starports for when he's ready. Is he ready? No, of course not. It's not time yet. The defensive lines will be continually added on, stretching to the beaches of Normandy. The battlecruiser count, the upgrades, it's just +1. +2, +1 is on the way for Solo. That will be the first time we've gotten upgrades for about half this game now. Is there even a forge? Bob has yet to discover forge technology, which is incredibly impressive for a Bronze League hero. He has discovered Starcraft. No, Stargate. Still not right. Void Race. Yes. Somehow we got there. Believe it or not, he did discover Starcraft. The Zealots will find the defensive outpost, but be dragged into a uncomfortable... Well, you do already have vision, my good friend. But you can never be too careful. As the sensor towers will continue to provide a little bit of an early warning system. Oh, I love it. Rapid reignition thrusters and medevac speed. Underutilized. Even in pro games, in my opinion. Like, when you have more resources than this, usually. Like 4,000, 6,000, and you don't get medevac speed, I just assume you're doing it on purpose. You incompetent pro players who have multiple thousands more MMR than me. Come on. Wow. That Raven had a lot of directions it could have gone. It had a lot of choices it could have made. And it made one. The interference matrix intimidating the rest of the stalkers away. There's a very real... Wherever we go, 2 prisms follow. Partially because I see them on the minimap and follow them with the spectator cam, but also for drama. He moves them. I mean, at this point, it's kind of a matter of principle to use the 2 prisms and not just warp them in at your base. It does look cool. It's like synchronized swimming, except with warp prisms. Yep, that's all I had. Wow, some a cast-based system. Not the commentary kind. For the Protoss, it's like Zeratul's legions. Would you like the ground army or the Void Ray army? It's like, please, come on. Obviously the Void Ray army. Like, who are you kidding? The Zealots will be heading to the left. The Stalkers holding their ground, and the Void Rays building their numbers. The Zealots will slaughter an SCV, and the siege tanks will take another couple. Oh, avoiding the scan. Scan! He finds the army. He tracks it down. The Venn scan will confirm its numbers. And what will that do? Oh, wow, the defenses are continuing to grow. As Solo seems to be quite happy to... Oh, wow. Forges. Everything in 2s. The Noah's Ark Protoss. 2 Void Rays at a time. 2 Forges at a time. 2 units allowed at a time. The Zealots get warped in to immediately die. Solo really digging in the trenches here. He's got everything he likes, and he's getting more of it. The TPM continues to raise. The turrets per minute is at exactly 28 turrets, 28 minutes. Calculated. The SCVs sent on a pilgrimage to find death, so that way he can free up supply for more Thors, of course. More sensor towers. Like, I'm just imagining SCV sitting there just... Ugh. Yeah, you guys, I'm loving the sensor towers, guys. What do you mean I'm not supposed to drink it? Well... So, the sensor towers have now cut the map in half. There will be, on the minimap at least, no way for Bob to move without Solo having notification in some fashion. So, this is happening. Okay, the auto turrets. The warp prisms! What a play! Just dodges. Oh, but there's more auto turrets. They're still gonna... They will use the classic flying away strategy that they're known for. Trademarked. This copyright infringement. As I don't know now. He got, by the way, he got the medevac speed upgrade, but I don't think there's been a single medevac. At this point, we're just pressing all the buttons. Like, when are you gonna get your wheelbarrow and upgrade to Imperial Age? What do you mean that's another game? This one's just as slow. I would say I'm throwing shade on Age of Empires, but they probably can't tell me because they're stuck behind their walls for another 20 minutes. That's a lot of Void Rays. Now, the awkward thing here is Thor's in the splash damage mode might be enough. He does turn them into single target, which, against small amounts of Void Rays. Has anybody checked if he upgraded ballistics? Yes, your units can miss. Well, here come the battle cruisers and the Thors, all of which can very technically kill Void Rays. These Void Rays are gonna have a rough day. Uh-oh. Okay, well, the Thors are not A-moving, but the Yamato cannon's a full volley. He jumps. Well, that's awkward. Well, with just the battle cruisers, he activates the prismatic alignment. He used the jump. He can't jump out. It was a costly bait, but he turns the Void Rays around. The battle cruisers isolated. They're not safe out in the middle of the field. The defenses are a long way away. The stalkers blunt forward. The target fire. A lot of the Thors are in splash damage mode, so they're not maximizing the damage. The Thors are wiping the field. Solo, he sallied out from behind his lines to engage the Void Rays. He thought he had more than enough, but instead he found Stalker's Void Rays and something very rough. The Stalkers will clean the field, but there's more left to be done. Solo actually is out of gas. That was an insanely gas-heavy army. Now, he did lose 24 Void Rays, and remember, the first 10 minutes of the game, he's lost 112 Stalkers, but the Stalkers will break through the defenses. There were no planetaries. There were no units. There's no more defenses because you walked outside. What is this, the final season of Game of Thrones? Okay, the only plot armor I want to see is Day 9 and Tasteless. At the end of the day, you never know what's gonna happen. Even these players don't know what's gonna happen next. As the Stalkers are blanking into planetaries, finally the tank lines are found. Another planetary, 4 more battle cruisers. The SCV's not in position to repair. He jumps and he fires and he jumps and it's not, he didn't blink very far. He was trying to cloak himself as a Stalker with those blinks. But at the end of the day, it was more of a choke. Bobtheslayer slaying his way, cutting his way through dozens of command centers, battle cruisers, planetaries. Solo is left with only 1 more SCV than he started with. The number's dropping. Bob is very ambitious with his blinks, but his confidence has gotten him this far. Unfortunately, well, more Stalkers. The planetary still finding some damage. Bob, there's still technically 2 relatively fresh bases to mine from. We're gonna go back to our corners and make... oh my god. Solo has a bit of a traffic jam in his base. He has found a very creative way of making sure his Thors don't get too hasty. And he's realized that Widow Mines are probably his best bet. The battle cruisers jump. The probes, they can't. Like, come on. Oh, we were done. Like, we were 2 days from retirement. Well, really, they were 2 days from finding another base. But the battle cruisers are warped in. It's +3 well, it's confusing. It looks like 1 battle cruiser might die, but the tanks. Oh no, the battle cruisers targeted the Nexus. Which means this 1 Stalker will blink into tank fire, so it will not survive, but the battlecruisers are taking a lot of damage. The Stalkers on the other side. I don't really have a lot of hopes for the life expectancy of these observers. Even without high-sec auto-tracking, which seems like a massive oversight in the grand scheme of this game, Even without high-sec auto-tracking, managing observers against widow mines and turrets is going to be quite an effort. So at this point, mining has been reduced to not quite a minimum, but it's not great. Technically, Stalkers outrange widow mines unless you micro too hard, in which case things can go horribly wrong, as he's desperately trying not to micro while still microing and only microing. A planetary looking for the flank. The battlecruiser sneaking, and that supply depot had it coming. Yamato cannons, but he blinks away. Only one catches him because he still has vision, but here come the tanks. Suddenly, more battlecruisers and tanks. He came back in for another look, and there were 3 times as many units. The 2 orbital commands waiting for their moment to shine, though their moment may never come, and they may be there. A relic of the past, back when we had SCVs. The widow mines are a real danger, the tanks even more so. Well, actually, oh no, don't you dare blink forward. The widow mines, tank, 5 widow mines at a time. 3 pro, this is well, the probes. Might be time to start high-sec auto-tracking, says Solo, noticing his glaring oversight. He won't be caught off guard by 3 probes again. As Bob, the supply's dead even. The game very much in doubt. The turret's taken down. As Bob makes his way through the units, the orbital commands are called in from the cold. It's been so long since we last tasted ground. Oh my, that tank getting a lot of good shots in. The battlecruisers will jump into a defensive posture, begging the question of, can they not fly? Time was of the essence. +2 now on the ground. It's just +1, +2 for the battlecruisers. A couple bruised SCVs will empathize with the battlecruiser and repair it. It's a lot of stalkers, but high-sec auto-tracking done. Building armor is nuts. Oh no! The turret's finding... They didn't quite kill the observer. As the game continues into its 37th minute, 169 stalkers die. Bob has lost 7,000 more minerals. They're about even on 12.5k to 12. Yep. Yep, that's a base. His worst nightmares are his wildest dreams. The widow mines. Very technically, you can blink out. Are you willing to go all the way, Bob? I am willing to go all the way. Oh no. Despite everything they've killed, the one thing they haven't tasted is probes. The probes run. But is it fast enough? No, they're tripping over one another, trying to escape, so none of them will. But this is all of the widow mines. Ah! Blinks across the field. But wait, the battlecruiser's in kind of an awkward spot. This is, okay, they'll turn around in Yamato. Oh, but the blink out of the Yamato! The next, like, this is some of the 200, this is either 20 or 200 IQ micro. This is absolutely the best and or worst micro you can ever do with these units. And it's beautiful, and it's horrifying, and it's disgusting, and it's inspiring. And here we are. Once again, a standoff where either side in one fashion could teleport to another for better or for worse, in sickness, mostly sickness, very little health. Yamato. Oh, but he blinks and he actually gets out of... I can't believe he's blink. Like, think about it. He's blinking out of battle cruisers, but not Widow Mines. So, like, essentially, you took Calculus 2 before learning 2 plus 2. The Venn diascan, that observer on the run! The observer knows, Yamato committed! No! Without the observer! Unfortunately for him, observers are literally the cheapest unit in the game you can build. That's not true. Are they the cheapest flying unit? Depends on how you value gas, I guess. Probably. Overlords. Yeah, but who cares about Zerg? Anyways, here we are. Solo expanding to this base. That is, he is being very careful. As another round of mines. As we trundle towards... That's a real word, right? Not just League of Legends. Oh, the turret. The observer not able to outflank it. The detection war continues. Unfortunately, Terrans essentially have map hacks. Oh, the Widow Mines, but the battle cruiser, but the Widow Mines. He doesn't know about the anti-F2 mode, unfortunately. Surveillance mode could solve most of his problems, but yet here we are. Oh, 2 observers, but also the command center. He builds, it's a missile turret. Another scan. More observers. How many observers have died? 9 observers. Okay, I guess I feel obligated. That's the theme of this season. Is, did you know? And lest we forget, the way to win a game of StarCraft is very technically, but also importantly, to kill all of your opponent's buildings. And once again, I have to bring that up, and once again, it's very relevant, and once again, it's unclear whether or not that's how this ends. Oh, blinks before the tank can even turn around. Why was the tank there? Why does anyone do anything? Why do we exist? Are we sure, especially after witnessing this, that we're not living in a simulation? And I hope not, because this is the reality I want to live in. A reality where Bob the Slayer and Solo are around the same MMR. A reality where this match happened. Well, the planetary outflanked, the mines cleaned up. I had no follow-up to that, so thankfully Bob took this game by the horns once again. He threw his stalkers once more into the fray. And he raged and raged against the dying of the fight. There must always be battle. I am Bob the Slayer, not Bob the diplomatic base builder who likes to sit back and actually mine minerals. Which didn't really fit on my business card. Well, in goes the stalkers and out go most of the main. A few starports and orbitals left behind, but most of them will escape post-haste. The Widow Mines, and we've rolled back around. We've lost Thor's Widow Mines, Hellbats, Vikings, Reapers, Cyclones, Liberators, tanks, battle cruisers, and Ravens, but the one unit we've lost almost none of is unupgraded Marines. So here we are. After 43 minutes, Marine production begins. At least Bob has been consistent. Bob has said, I'm building Stalkers and Void Rays. Yeah, he dallied in Zealots, and he partook in a few Immortals, but those units were far too complicated. They shoot like Stalkers, Void Rays, they shoot up, they shoot down. Need I say more? Well, the battle cruisers in flight. Bob. Solo actually is the one banking money. Widow Mines, he actually blinks out of a Widow Mine with the Stalkers. It's happening. Bob slowly chipping away at the minefield. Unfortunately for Solo, he's moved his battlecruisers into a position where there's nothing left to mine, and there are no I don't know what happened. I guess he killed the Nexus in that last fight. Oh yeah, with the battlecruisers before. Wait, so that means he knew. Well, anyways, let's not assume anything. Okay, the time for assumptions is long past. Fun fact, as a relic of the past, you might notice that the timer now has an hour marker, though it says 0. Back in the day, we used Starcraft time, which was 1.4 times faster than real time. So we would have passed an hour in Starcraft time, which would have been Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm. But it's a legacy from before that, when in Brood War, back in the long, long days of the Brood War, the Koreans were like, we're not playing esports on normal speed like casuals. We're going to play on faster, which was 1.4 times real time. So StarCraft time carried over into StarCraft 2. I was really trying to find a good segue as like an awkward transition in Legacy of the Void. It's why now units cost a weird amount of time. Like, it took 100 seconds to build a Spire. Now it takes 71. But I feel like I'm monologuing a bit too much, as Solo managed to lose all his battlecruisers. With a blink that barely outranged the Stalkers, so probably was, at the very best, optimistic, and at the worst, suicidal. So somehow, after 46 minutes, and after a full StarCraft time hour and a real-time 46 minutes, and this is why your games seem a lot shorter, on top of the 12-worker start, is because they literally, just in the amount of game time, are shorter. So unfortunately, and now this is something I didn't think we'd have to point out, in order to mine from a base, you need a base. Doesn't really matter where that base is. But, as Bob is endeavoring to demonstrate, that is not always a guarantee. That command center was not canceled, and that is 600 minerals down the drain. Speaking of 600 minerals down the drain, the Widow Mines get the most beautiful connections they could ever dream of. Bob blocks in. He's going for the win. Right here. Right now. The observers are key. After all of this, Bob has had enough. Bob is microing back. The Widow Mines are recharging, so Bob has to be a little careful with how long he stays in Home Depot. The Widow Mines are gonna kind of recharge awkwardly here, so they will get another, well, they will force a little more micro. That's a lot of Marines. They have 0/0 upgrades against 3/3/1 Stalkers. But this is kind of a surprisingly high number of Marines. He's got no income, but he has 40 Marines. So here we are. Auto turret. The Widow Mines will burrow. And Stalkers are just not good. Especially when there are Widow Mines. Oh, don't do it. There are Widow Mines. Does he have enough for observers? Yes. I don't know why we have the production tab open. That's kind of irrelevant. Oh, is there no armory? So the Widow Mines are not cloaked after they fire. So that without an armory, he could see the mines. Of course, they do fire first, which is like kind of a huge issue for the 227 Stalkers that have died. Solo is not mining. There are still a lot of minerals in the corners to be dredged out of the map. A price paid in so much blood. The Stalkers chasing, doing what they do best. Stalking. Hunting these units. It looks like Bob has consolidated his position. The Stalkers, the upgrades are far too good. But there is one heroic Marine, Big Gabe. Wow, the probes have such good upgrades. I keep going to the production tab out of reflex. It is irrelevant. Oh, but wait. This is Bob's mining, if ever there was a place to attack. Bob doesn't have that much money, though he can maybe kill the mines. There's there's 4 observers. He is isolating the probes with the mines. Oh my god, he used the blink a little early. The Marines are targeting the Nexus. There is enough for another Nexus. The Widow Mines are doing real well. The Widow Mines are doing about as well as they ever could have gone. He's targeting probes. This is not all the probes. And it's not enough. Solo types GG. Bob types GG. I was expecting the game to continue several more minutes, but Bob will reign victorious. Solo taps it out. 50,000 minerals. Essentially every single unit. Besides, like, Marauders and Ghosts, but we don't count them. And also Banshees. And Liberators. No, 2 Liberators. We had a lot of Liberator micro. But Bob the Slayer reigns supreme. He doesn't care. He lost 130 probes, 14 observers, 35 zealots, 2 immortals, 35 stalkers, 3 prisms, and 24 void rays. He does not care. All that matters at the end of the day is thanking FFT Private for surviving that and sending it to us to be cast and judging it worthy in the Discord with the information in the description below. And also all that matters is we saw beauty and we saw something special here today. So special in so many ways. If you agree, like or dislike, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. What do you think? From the comfort of your own phone. You guys have phones. How are players this bad in 2021 despite being a player who has not played in since 2013? Make your judgments and then tune in next time for more Bronze League Heroes.